As we continue through the pandemic and even beyond the pandemic, fostering our youth to be able to approach the world in ways that is productive for them, but also for our local communities becomes even more important. And someone on the front lines of that issue that is helping support youth in our local area in Metro Detroit is Portia Roberson, CEO of Focus Hope, who joins us now on the Megacast. Portia, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Appreciate having you on. So for those that aren't familiar, that are tuning in and just learning about Focus Hope now, can you give a little bit of an explanation about what your organization does?
Sure. So Focus Hope is an organization that's been around for about 53 years, actually, which is quite a long time. We were started as a result of or out of the rebellion of 1967 that happened in the neighborhood where Focus Hope is still located today, started by Father William Cunningham, and Eleanor Jositis. And so our organization today does really three things, and we do it all under the lens of advocacy. Those three things are food for seniors, workforce training, and we have a center for children that does Head Start, early Head Start, and youth development. But again, we do it all under the lens of equity, advocacy, and community engagement.
We're joined by Portia Roberson, CEO of Focus Hope, with us today on the Megacast. And over the last year and a half that we've been in this pandemic, and as we were leading into it, there's so much of a focus on health and on what that means in our communities here in Metro Detroit, because there is such diversity of different communities, certainly demographic diversity and socioeconomic diversity here in southeastern Michigan, and so health means something different from one person to another, even if it has the same basic definitions. And this summer, Focus Hope had an opportunity to partner with Healthy America, the Michelle Obama Pass the Love campaign. Can you explain a little bit about what that involvement was and how that impacted our local community?
Well, sure, and you hit it right on the head. We saw the disparities in diverse communities about the response to the COVID pandemic, but more importantly, what was available for people when the pandemic initially hit. And so the Pass the Love campaign with the Partnership for a Healthy America is something that was launched by former First Lady Michelle Obama when she was at the White House, but has continued on. It's sort of a play on her show on Netflix, which is Waffles and Mochi. So it's a kid show. And it really is to encourage parents to cook healthy with their children. So we were able for 4 weeks to give out each week a different box. That box had ingredients, recipes, and then in addition to that, we gave out a produce bag. And so you could take that box home. The box was enough food to cook 3 separate recipe meals, and it would feed 4 people. And it really, again, was about making sure that communities that don't necessarily have easy access to fresh food were able to actually have that, try different things, try things that they wouldn't normally see in the grocery stores that they do frequent, and just have an opportunity to connect with their children and cook with their children. This last 19 months or so has been so overwhelming for anyone. And, you know, there have been times when I'm sure as parents, if you've been homeschooling all day, the last thing you feel like doing at the end of the day is really figuring out what you should make for dinner and what your kids can have for dinner. And so this was sort of an opportunity for us to give back to the communities that we serve and make sure that they have some things that they can do with their children that take some of the burden off of making those decisions at the end of a day.
And it also gives the kids an opportunity to be involved in that element of their home life, and to have that involvement that gives them something to communicate with their parents about, to engage with their parents about, but also to do some learning outside of traditional formats such as in the classroom and school, while also benefiting their long-term health and the health of their families.
Yeah, cooking is a science. I mean, I'm not a big cooker, but it is a form of science, right? It's measuring, it's math, it's thinking about how things combine and how it makes for good tasting food. So it absolutely is exactly what you said. It's a way in which you teach your children, you know, in a different way than what the traditional school or the non-traditional school looked like for the past year or so. You know, and it also is a way in which your kids will start to talk to you, that they might not do that when you ask them a certain question, but when you're in the kitchen and you're working together, conversations begin and you find out things from your children that you might not otherwise find out.
We're joined by Portia Roberson. She is the CEO of Focus Hope. Find more information on Focus Hope on their website, focushope.edu. And on top of this effort with Michelle Obama and the Healthy America Partnership, Focus Hope has also partnered with Bank of America for a student leadership program as well. Can you tell us a little bit about what that entails and the various ways that that is helping local kids in our area?
Well, I mean, I'm so proud of our partnership with Bank of America. We've been doing this now for the 3 years that I've been at Focus Hope. It really has been an opportunity to allow kids from diverse backgrounds to come into Focus Hope, to really give us some ideas about things that we can do to move Focus Hope forward. You know, if you've been in an institution that's been around for 53 years, you can get a little stagnant in your ideas. And so these young people bring in really great new ideas for us. They help us with social media, they help us with other presentations, and ways in which we really do our work. And so we're really excited to have them. Your last guest was talking about diverse populations. I think it's so important that sometimes you bring together populations that would not otherwise know one another, right? So we had kids that are from Detroit, we had kids that were from the suburbs, but we also had kids who, even though they may have both been from Detroit, grew up on the Southwest side, or were Latinx children or African American children or white children who would not otherwise see each other or know each other or talk about their various life experiences. So it's not only beneficial to us, but it's beneficial to them because it widens their world. And I don't think that can ever be a bad thing.
And these programs, too, also provide the children with exposure to a number of different industries, a number of different opportunities that may be available to them down the road, especially as they get older and they're preparing to go into the productive world and get a job or pursue their education. It gives them that exposure that in many cases in many of our communities, unfortunately, may not have been there otherwise.
Absolutely. I mean, we have kids, that have never been exposed to sort of the banking industry and the idea of banking and what that looks like. It might be that they come from a situation where that has not been their experience in their home, right? So they get sort of a financial background that they wouldn't normally otherwise get. And it's really interesting, especially right now, because I see these things on social media that talk about some of the classes that we do in high school or college should be converted from your basic sort of English lit class that you have to take 2 or 3 years into, a credit and finance class. So kids know what it means to get, credit and how to do a mortgage when you get ready to buy your first home or whatever. And so I think this is like a step in that direction where you're giving young people, as they matriculate into either their senior year of high school or college experience, some of that background that they're going to need, that they're going to utilize as they become professional working adults.
We're joined by Portia Roberson. She is the CEO of Focus Hope with us on the Megacast today. And on top of that program, so in this program, the students are, of course, engaging with Bank of America and with some other professionals in the local industry. But beyond that, what else do they experience as they're going through this program? How long is it, and what is the participation like for these students?
Well, it's the entire summer. It's been a little different for the last 2 years because obviously most of their activities have been virtual. They definitely helped us out on the partnership with the Healthy America and the Pass to Love campaign. They were very instrumental in making sure that was driven in the right way. But it really is them giving us some of their ideas, but also getting the experience of, I'm a lawyer, that's how I was trained, but I operate as the CEO of a nonprofit. So they want to know, what does that mean? What does it mean when you say, oh, I'm the CFO or the CDO? So there are a lot of experiences that we have that we can share with them that are not necessarily traditional. I mean, I tell them all the time, I went to law school, and when you usually think of lawyers, you think of a courtroom. And so I'm far off the mark from that, right? And so they want to know a little bit about that. They want to know what other people do. And I encourage that because I think so often we all kind of get on a track of what our profession is going to be before we really thought about all the possibilities that are out there, all the various careers and job opportunities that are out there. And so this is just a small way in which we give back in terms of thinking about what the future could look like.
We're joined by Portia Roberson. She is the CEO of Focus Hope. Find more information on her organization at focushope.edu, and not just these programs specifically for job training, vocational training that will be helpful down the line. Your organization provides educational opportunities and programs for kids at a number of different ages as well. Does sustaining those programs over the life of these kids, obviously it's going to have a bit bigger impact than them coming in just for some early learning training and so on and so forth, or just coming in for training while they're high school age. Having that across the board provides more of a broad scope. Do you find that you're having more kids in recent times that are with your organization for an extended period of time? What impact does that have on their development and the opportunities that they find from having those experiences?
Well, I like to say that, once you're a part of the Focus Hope family, you're always a part of the Focus Hope family. So we may have a child in our Head Start or Early Head Start program, but that child's parents might be in our workforce program. That child's grandparent may receive some of our food from our supplemental food program for seniors. And so it's a continuum. We don't necessarily, see the child, or they might come back and participate in a program that we have while they're in high school, but they continuously come back. And oftentimes what they do is they come back to volunteer. To be quite honest with you, they come back because they want to give back to a program that they feel that they got quite a bit from. So we're always open for our students that come, or our children that come at the very young age to come back and help us out, to come back and participate in other programs. And then also we encourage their families to get involved with Focus Hope in various ways so that we can be helpful to them, because we know that then that turns out to be helpful for that child. So it is a continuum. And we are trying to make sure that we are there for the entire family from birth to the time when they are more seasoned, mature members of their family, just to make sure that we are serving residents of not only Detroit, but also of the region. I always like to point out, we feed about 42,000 seniors per month, and we do that in Wayne County, Oakland County, Macomb County, and even Washtenaw County. So we know that the need is there, particularly with our seniors. We want to make sure that any senior who needs supplemental food is given that food and has that opportunity with us. But we know that also a senior or a parent who's not worried and under constant stress about how they're going to eat or how they're going to get employed is going to be a better parent to that child who's in early education or who's in our youth development program. And it's as simple as that.
We're joined by Portia Roberson. She's the CEO of Focus Hope on the Megacast, and your organization does such excellent work for kids and for adults alike. But especially right now, where it can be so difficult to provide even basic services to people in our community, what are the greatest needs at this moment in time for your organization in order to continue to provide these excellent services at the level that you do?
Well, I think, we've seen the need ebb and flow over the course of the last year and a half or so. We noticed immediately when schools closed and parents had their kids at home with them, we immediately kind of converted to make sure we were giving out things like formula, diapers, wipes. Our early education program is really from birth to 4 years old. So you can imagine, if you're a parent, you were accustomed to having your children with us 6-8 hours a day, and all of a sudden we sent that child home. Some of our families didn't have some of the basic things that they needed in order to have a child home all day. Internet service. We had to work on, sort of decreasing this digital divide that exists in a lot of communities where not everybody can just go into, their office at home and get on their computer and have internet service readily available, or that they even have a computer at home to get on to continue to do workforce training. So it was both a measure of looking at what our families needed immediately, whether that was some additional food items we could give them, diapers, wipes, formula, as I mentioned, but also making sure they could still participate with us virtually. And so we'll continue to see that for a while. I think it's not going to change right away. We certainly are going to change our model. We're going to allow families who choose to participate with us virtually to continue to do that a little bit. But we do know now that we are seeing parents wanting to bring their kids back into our programs, feeling a little bit safer. And so now what our desire is in terms of their needs is to give them a safe and healthy environment for them to be with us for, 8 hours a day again.
We're joined by Portia Roberson, CEO of Focus Hope, with us on the Megacast. Portia, just another minute or so before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else that would be important or interesting for our audience to know about Focus Hope today?
Well, I always make sure to add that I'm so proud of our team because we kept going throughout the entire pandemic. We didn't shut down for one day. We made quick conversions. I always joke that I was a little pessimistic in the very beginning of this, and I was hearing rumors that there was going to be, quote unquote, a shutdown, which at that time in February of 2019, nobody even knew what a shutdown of a country basically would look like. But I'm really proud that we were able to continue to make sure we're meeting the needs of all of the clients that we serve. I mean, I always say that when you come to Focus Hope in whatever capacity, at whatever time, we've all been kind of learned to say we can do it by our own bootstraps. We can pull ourselves up on our own. We don't need additional help. And so I think that when people come to us, it's because they decided to be vulnerable and say, I need a little help. And we want to make sure that we're there to give them that help. And we're going to continue to do that as much as we possibly can. And as we see the needs change, we're going to shift with that and make sure we can satisfy those needs as well.
Well, Portia, we appreciate having you on today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.